All right, so buckle up, everybody, because today we are taking a deep dive into something truly spine-chilling.
Oh, yeah.
An excerpt from a Chinese horror novel sent in by one of our listeners.
I love it.
We're talking mysterious disappearances,
Uh-huh.
a vengeful spirit,
Oh, spooky.
and a dorm you definitely wouldn't want to be caught dead in.
Well, you might be.
Okay, bad joke. But seriously, this excerpt is packed with creepy dorm rules and eerie encounters that'll make you think twice about ever stepping foot on a college campus again.
Especially at night, right?
Exactly. So, let's start by setting the scene.
Yeah.
Our story takes place in what appears to be a pretty normal college dorm.
Uh-huh.
But, as we quickly learn, things are far from ordinary.
Oh, I can imagine.
Our main character, who we'll get to know a bit later, is an aspiring feng shui master.
Okay, interesting. Already sounds like someone who might be able to handle a spooky situation.
You got that right. But
Wow.
even for her, this dorm is going to be a real test.
A test of courage, you think?
Courage, knowledge, maybe even sanity. I mean, the first clue that something's off is the list of dorm rules.
The dorm rules. Okay, yeah. Tell me about those. What are they like?
Well, imagine, like, the typical dorm rules about noise levels and guest hours.
Yeah, I remember those days.
But then throw in a healthy dose of don't look in the mirror for too long and beware of strangers at the window.
Hold on, that took a turn. Strangers at the window. What kind of strangers are we talking about here?
That's the million-dollar question. But just from those rules, you get this immediate sense of foreboding, like there's a hidden danger lurking just beneath the surface of everyday life.
It's like the rules themselves are foreshadowing something sinister.
Exactly. It's like the author saying, hey, pay attention to these rules. They might just save your life.
You know, that immediately makes me think about how effective rules can be in horror, right? It's like
Yeah.
setting up boundaries that the reader and the characters know they shouldn't cross.
You're totally right. And the way these rules are worded, it's so specific, so deliberate, that you know there have to be some seriously bad consequences for breaking them.
Oh, I bet. So what are some of these rules, the ones that really stood out to you?
Well, let's see. Some of the big ones are the first floor is boys' dorm, the second floor is girls' dorm, and the third floor is off-limits due to disrepair.
Okay, so already, classic horror trope. The forbidden floor.
Right. You just know something bad went down up there.
Oh, yeah. What else?
The dorm rooms are for 4 people, and no strangers should be in the rooms. If a stranger appears, inform a teacher. Importantly, a teacher will never knock from the window.
Whoa, hold on. A teacher will never knock from the window. So what, is something else knocking?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. It's not just keeping out unwanted visitors. It's like they're trying to keep something else in.
Gosh, that's unsettling.
Oh, okay, this one really got me. Any strange walking or banging noises at night are hallucinations.
Oh, come on. That's never a good sign.
Nope, definitely not. And then there's lock the doors before bed, as teachers don't check the dorms, and no one should open the door if someone knocks.
Yikes. So basically, once those doors are locked, you're on your own.
Yeah, and whatever's out there, it's not getting in. Unless it already is.
Oh, God, that's creepy. So those rules are definitely setting a spooky tone. What else? Any other standout rules?
Oh yeah, there's a couple more. Don't stand with your back to the mirror for more than a minute.
Ooh, mirrors. Now that's tapping into some classic Chinese horror.
Yeah, right. Mirrors as portals to the spirit world, that whole thing.
It's like a direct warning, isn't it? Like, whatever you do, don't expose yourself to the other side through the mirror.
It makes you wonder, what happens if you break that rule? Even accidentally. What could be lurking on the other side, waiting to cross over?
I don't even want to think about it. These rules are seriously messing with my head.
And then there's this last one, which is just plain weird. Beware of bugs and kill them immediately.
Okay, now that's just bizarre. Are we talking about, like, normal bugs? Or is there something more to it?
Well, that's the thing with this novel. You never really know.
Yeah, you're right. It could be anything. It's like the author is deliberately keeping us on edge, making us question everything.
Exactly. Every detail, even something as seemingly mundane as bugs, could have a deeper, more sinister meaning.
I'm starting to see why you chose this excerpt. It's so layered, so full of potential for creepiness.
You're catching on. But okay, these rules are just the beginning, believe me.
Oh, I believe you. I'm already hooked. So what happens next? Does our Feng Shui master in training encounter any of these rule-breaking situations?
Oh, you better believe it.
Okay, I'm ready. Tell me everything.
Well, let's meet our protagonist, shall we? She finally arrives at her assigned dorm room, and it's already occupied by 4 other girls. It seems pretty normal so far, right?
Yeah, typical college dorm experience. I can already picture it. The cramped room, the mismatched furniture, the posters on the walls.
You got it. There's the one with heavy makeup, always seems to be on her phone.
Yeah.
The redhead, who's constantly blasting music.
Yeah.
The one covered in tattoos who looks like she could be in a punk band.
Okay, classic dorm archetypes.
Right. But then there's the fourth girl.
Uh-oh, I have a feeling this is where things get weird.
You're not wrong.
Mm.
This girl, she's cosplaying as a bloody, disfigured ghost.
Wait, what? Like full-on costume, fake blood and everything?
It's like someone took a scene straight out of a horror movie and dropped it right into this dorm room.
Wow, that's intense. What does her protagonist do? She must be freaking out, right?
You'd think so, right?
Yeah, I mean, I would be.
But here's the thing. She doesn't.
Wait, what?
Yeah, she's just kind of like, okay, a ghost girl. Noted.
Really? She's that calm?
It's almost like because she's studying to be a feng shui master, she's already open to the possibility of the supernatural.
Maybe it's not that surprising then. I mean, she's chosen a path that deals directly with the unseen world.
Yeah, exactly. It's like while everyone else is running and screaming at the first sign of a ghost, she's intrigued, maybe even a little bit excited.
I mean, it's one thing to study it in books, right? But to actually encounter a ghost, that's got to be a whole different level of learning.
Totally. It's like, bring on the ghosts. I've got my textbooks and my Lucky Charms.
Here you go, girl. But, I mean, still, a ghost girl in your dorm room, that's got to be at least a little bit unsettling.
Oh, it definitely gets unsettling. Remember those dorm rules we talked about?
The ones that sounded like a survival guide for the supernatural.
Yeah, those. Well, our protagonist starts to connect the dots, and she realizes something is very wrong.
I have a feeling this is where things take a turn for the worse. What happens?
She makes a chilling discovery. She's the only one who can see the ghost girl.
Whoa, hold on. So the other girls in the room, they can't see her.
Nope. It's like she's invisible to everyone but our protagonist.
Oh, man. That's way creepier than just a harmless cosplay prank.
Right. Suddenly those dorm rules don't seem so silly anymore.
No kidding. They're starting to sound like a matter of life and death. So what does she do? Does she try to help the ghost girl?
She knows she needs help, and fast. So she decides to seek out the dorm hostess, hoping for some answers.
Okay, that makes sense. The dorm hostess, she's got to know something, right? I mean, she's the one who laid down those rules.
Yeah, and this is where we get another glimpse into the world of the novel, and it's not what you'd expect.
Okay, tell me more.
Our protagonist rushes to find the dorm hostess, explains the situation, the ghost girl, the whole thing, and the dorm hostess. She's not surprised at all.
Hold on. She's not surprised. Like, she's totally unfazed by a ghost sighting.
It's like she's dealt with this kind of thing before, maybe even on a regular basis.
Sweet trick.
In fact, before our protagonist can even finish explaining, the dorm hostess is already drawing charms and grabbing a peachwood sword.
Oh, whoa, a peachwood sword. That sounds serious. What's that all about?
Well, it's a tool specifically used in Chinese folklore to ward off evil spirits.
So it's not just a random weapon. It's like a culturally significant way to combat the supernatural.
Exactly. And the fact that she has one on hand, ready to go, speaks volumes about the kind of world our protagonist has stumbled into.
Yeah, it's not your typical college experience anymore. It's like she's entered a whole other dimension where ghosts and spirits are a part of everyday life.
And the dorm hostess, she's not just a housing authority figure. She's like a guardian, protecting the students from the unseen forces lurking around them.
She sounds like a total badass. I kind of wish she was my dorm hostess back in the day.
She'd definitely liven up those mandatory dorm meetings. So the dorm hostess sends our protagonist back to her room, armed with a peachwood sword for protection. You'd think she'd be terrified at this point, right?
Yeah, I mean, wouldn't you be? A ghost in your room and a sword to fight it off with? That's not exactly how I envision college going.
Right. But surprisingly, she's kind of excited about the prospect of actually encountering a ghost.
Wait, really? Excited. I guess if you're studying to be a feng shui master, maybe it's like meeting a celebrity in your field.
I guess so. There's this line in the excerpt where she thinks to herself, maybe I'm not destined to be a student, but in the future I'll be a feng shui master and still make a lot of money.
So the danger, the presence of the supernatural, it's like it's ignited a passion in her, a professional calling. It's almost like a challenge to her.
Yeah, she's thinking, this ghost is going to be great for my resume.
Yeah.
But seriously, it speaks to that duality of fear and fascination, especially when it comes to the unknown.
Right. We're drawn to horror, to these stories of ghosts and spirits because they tap into something primal within us.
Exactly. It's like a morbid curiosity, a desire to confront our fears, to understand what lies beyond the veil of reality.
Absolutely. We want to be scared, but we also want to understand to find a way to control those fears.
And in this story, the protagonist's desire to become a feng shui master, it's almost like she's seeking that control, that mastery over the forces that most people fear.
Yeah, she wants to understand the rules of the game, both the natural and the supernatural, so she can navigate them effectively. It's like, bring on the ghosts, I'm ready to play.
Okay, so picture this. Our protagonist is back in her room, Peachwood's sword in hand, ready to face the unknown. And then, just as those dorm rules foreshadowed, a black mist starts seeping in through the window.
Oh, wow, chills. A black mist, that's classic horror imagery, the creeping dread that slowly envelops the room, the unseen force that's about to make its presence known.
And remember, the rules specifically warned about strangers entering the room, and that a teacher's knock would never come from the window.
Yeah, so this is exactly what they were talking about, the thing they were trying to warn against. The rules were right.
It's like connected. And guess who this black mist attaches itself to?
Oh no, I bet I know. The ghost girl.
Not quite. He goes straight for the girl with the heavy makeup.
So the rules were right about the window, but wrong about who is in danger. Or maybe everyone is in danger now.
That's a good question. It's like the rules are a guide, but not always a complete picture. There's still so many unknowns, so much we don't understand about this supernatural world.
It's like the author is deliberately keeping us in the dark, making us question everything, making us wonder what's going to happen next. It's brilliant, really.
And now, here's the question that's been bugging me. She had a peachwood sword, a tool specifically designed to fight off spirits. So why doesn't she use it?
That is a good question. I mean, if I had a ghost fighting sword, I think I'd be swinging it at anything remotely spooky. But maybe she's hesitant to use it.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It's like she's ambitious, she's eager to learn about the spirit world, but she's also cautious, maybe even a bit afraid of the power she might unleash.
Or maybe, and this is the part that really gets me, maybe there's a touch of morbid curiosity there.
You're saying she might be thinking, let's see what this ghost does for science.
Exactly. It's that classic horror trope, the idea that observing something terrifying can be safer than trying to fight it. And remember, she's training to be a feng shui master. Part of that involves understanding the flow of energy, the balance between yin and yang, the forces that govern the natural and supernatural worlds.
So she's observing, taking mental notes, adding this experience to her mental feng shui textbook.
Yeah, it's like she's thinking, okay, ghost possessing a girl, check. Black mist entering through a window, check. What happens next? Let's find out.
Okay, that makes sense. But she's not completely heartless, right? She's not just going to stand there and watch while her roommate gets possessed.
No, I don't think so. I mean, the dorm hostess wouldn't stand for that either.
You're right. Thankfully, the dorm hostess returns, and she's not about to let this spirit harm anyone. She takes charge, using coarse salt to drive away the black mist.
Salt. Really? Like table salt?
Yeah, just plain old coarse salt. It's a simple act, but in Chinese culture and in many cultures around the world, salt is believed to have purifying properties. It's used in rituals to cleanse spaces, to ward off evil spirits. It represents purity, protection, and the restoration of balance.
So it's more than just a seasoning, it's like a spiritual weapon.
Exactly. It's like a spiritual reset button, a way to disrupt the negative energy and restore order. And the dorm hostess, she knows exactly how to use it.
She's like the OG Ghostbuster, armed with salt and ancient wisdom.
And before she leaves, she gives the protagonist one final piece of advice. Curiosity killed the cat. As long as you follow the school rules, you'll be able to graduate.
I love that line. It's so simple, yet so chilling. It's a reminder that in this world, the rules aren't just about good behavior, they're about survival.
It's the ultimate college survival guide. Don't plagiarize, show up for class, and oh yeah, don't mess with the ghosts.
Right, and whatever you do, don't stand with your back to the mirror for too long.
Exactly. But it also leaves us with so many questions. What happened to the girl possessed by the black mist? What other dangers are lurking in this dorm? And what does it truly mean to follow the rules in this supernatural setting?
Oh man, I need answers. This excerpt is leaving me with so many questions. It's like we're just scratching the surface of this world, and there's so much more to uncover.
I know, right? It's like we've just opened the first page of a really creepy book and we can't wait to see what happens next.
I mean, it's like we're just scratching the surface of this world, and there are layers upon layers of secrets and dangers hidden within those dorm walls.
Yeah, what about the girl with the heavy makeup?
Oh, right, right. What happened to her?
Do you think we're going to get any answers?
Well, that's the thing about this excerpt, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't really tie everything up in a neat little bow.
Right.
And I think that's what makes it so effective. It
Yeah.
leaves you wanting more, you know?
Yeah.
The author doesn't spell everything out for you. You're left to imagine what happened to her. What other horrors might be waiting in the shadows?
Oh, totally. And it makes you think, like, what else is going on in this dorm?
Right. Like, is this just the tip of the iceberg?
Yeah, exactly. And it kind of seeps out beyond the pages, you know?
Oh, absolutely.
You start looking over your shoulder, wondering if there's a black mist creeping in through your own window.
Like, what if my neighbor is actually a ghost?
Yeah, right. Or what if that noise I heard last night
Yeah.
wasn't just the pipes?
Exactly.
But let's back up for a second here.
Okay.
This whole idea of following the rules,
Yeah.
it really resonates with me.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I mean, it's not just about surviving a haunted dorm, right?
Uh-huh.
It's about navigating life in general.
Totally. I completely agree with you.
Yeah.
Think about it.
Uh-huh.
We're surrounded by rules all the time, right?
Oh, yeah.
Spoken and unspoken rules.
Uh-huh.
Some are there for our safety, some are for social order,
Yeah.
and some, well, we may never fully understand their purpose.
Right, like why is that a rule?
Exactly.
But this excerpt, it takes that concept to a whole other level.
Oh, yeah.
The rules of this dorm, they're not just guidelines.
Uh-huh.
They're a matter of life and death.
Literally.
Yeah, forget about getting written up for having a guest after curfew.
Right.
You might actually get possessed by a vengeful spirit.
Seriously, talk about high stakes.
Yeah, and it also makes you question the nature of rules.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
who created them?
Yeah.
Why are they so important?
Mm-hmm.
And what happens when you break them?
Right. Like, are the consequences always supernatural?
Yeah, it's like a mystery wrapped in an enigma.
Exactly.
But I think this excerpt also kind of suggests that rules can be a source of power.
That's an interesting take.
If you understand them,
Yeah.
you know how to work within those boundaries,
Yeah.
maybe you can control those forces around you.
It's like knowledge is power, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Especially when it comes to the supernatural.
Uh-huh.
Like, think about the dorm hostess.
Okay, yeah.
She knows the rules.
Uh-huh.
She understands the rituals.
Right.
And she's able to protect herself and those students
Yeah.
from harm.
She's like a spiritual superhero.
Totally. Armed with salt and a really good rule book.
Exactly.
So what do you think is the most important rule for surviving this haunted dorm?
Oh, man. That's a tough one.
Right? There are so many to choose from.
And what would you do if you came face to face with a ghost?
Oh, gosh.
Would you be as calm and collected as our protagonist?
Honestly,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I like to think I would be brave,
Uh-huh.
but who knows how you'd react in that kind of situation?
Yeah.
You know, adrenaline pumping, heart racing.
Yeah.
Maybe I'd be running for the hills, screaming for my mama.
Yeah, I think we've all been there.
But I think the most important rule,
Uh-huh.
but at least in the context of this excerpt, is to just be aware.
Okay. Yeah.
Pay attention to the signs,
Hmm.
listen to the warnings, and don't underestimate the power of that unseen world.
Solid advice.
And maybe keep some salt handy just in case, right?
Always a good idea.
You never know when you might need to do a little spiritual cleansing.
Well, this has been an incredible deep dive into the world of Chinese horror.
Oh, it's been fascinating.
You sent us an excerpt that was packed with shills,
Uh-huh.
cultural insights,
Yeah,
and some really thought-provoking questions about rules, about curiosity,
for sure.
and that delicate balance between the living and the dead.
It's a reminder that horror can be so much more than just jump scares and gore.
Oh, yeah.
It can explore those deeper fears, our fascination with the unknown, and how we try to make sense of a world that often feels chaotic and unpredictable.
It's like holding up a mirror to our own anxieties, our own uncertainties about what lies beyond our everyday reality.
Absolutely. And I think that's what makes it so compelling, so unsettling, and ultimately so thought-provoking.
Yeah, and it's like a reminder that horror can be so much more than just those jump scares and the gore.
Oh.
You know, it can really explore those deeper fears, our fascination with the unknown,
Right.
and the ways we try to make sense of a world
Yeah.
that often feels chaotic and unpredictable.
It's like holding up a mirror
Yeah.
to our own anxieties, our
Right.
own uncertainties about what lies beyond our everyday reality.
Right, those things that go bump in the night.
Absolutely. And I think that's what makes it so compelling,
Uh-huh.
so unsettling,
Yeah.
and ultimately so thought-provoking.
It sticks with you,
It does.
long after you finish reading.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So if you're looking for a good scare
Uh-huh.
and maybe some food for thought,
Yeah.
I highly recommend checking out some Chinese horror novel.
Oh, definitely.
You might just find yourself captivated by their unique blend of folklore, suspense, and social commentary.
Yeah, it's a whole different flavor of horror.
It is.
And who knows, you might even learn a few new rules
Uh-huh.
for navigating the unseen world.
Right, like don't stand with your back to the mirror
Yeah.
and always carry salt.
The essential tools for any aspiring ghost hunter.
Exactly. Well, thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Oh, it's been a pleasure.
We'll catch you next time for another exploration into the depths of knowledge and imagination.
Until then, stay curious, stay safe, and don't forget to check under your bed for black mist.
And maybe double check those dorm rules just in case.